In my last video, I talked about how the 1260 days ends with war, right? The 1260 days, the 42 months, the times and a half ends with Christ coming back, but by war. When Christ comes back, he comes in the middle of a war. So let's prove that. Everything that you say about Scripture must be proven through Scripture. If you're saying something and we can't find it, you've just created a whole new religion. And that's where you get all these different branches of Christianity and these different religions. A lot of it is based on people filling in gaps that they can't prove through Scripture. So if it's missing, you got to move on. Just accept what's written on the pages. The verses that we're going to use to prove that he's coming in the middle of a war are Revelation chapter 19, Isaiah chapter 63, and from the Apocrypha, 2nd Ezra chapter 13. Now, many people haven't read the Apocrypha, but it is definitely canon. I've heard people say that it doesn't belong in the Bible, but it was part of the 1611 King James Version and was later taken out. Revelation 19:19, and I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. This is Christ coming back. And it says, I saw the beast, which is the fourth beast that we read about in Daniel, and then the kings of the earth, who are the people who are ruling this earth, and their armies. They're gathered together to make war against Christ. He's the person on the horse and his army. Christ is coming back with his army, and the people who are on the earth will seek to make war against him. What is Christ coming to do? And that's when we're going to read in Isaiah chapter 63, verse 6. He says, I will tread down the people in my anger, and I will make them drunk in my fury, and I will bring down their strength to the earth. Christ will war against the armies of the earth, according to Isaiah. And then we add 2nd Ezra to that, which is 2nd Ezra chapter 13:33. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another, and an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them willing to overcome him by fighting. They're going to leave a battle they have. When Christ comes back, they will already be fighting. But then they're going to leave the battle. They're going to leave a war. Things are going to be really bad before Christ comes back. And during this war, Christ will show up. Your job and your prayer, if you're on the earth when this is taking place, is to survive the war. Now let's fill in the context and let's show how Revelation chapter 19 and Isaiah 63 are related. So we're going to read Revelation chapter 19 first. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he does judge and make war. His job is to make war. The person on the horse is coming to make war. His eyes, verse 12, his eyes were a flame of fire, and his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but himself. Remember, he has many crowns. He's a King of kings, he's Lord of lords, and he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. And his name is called the Word of Elohim. Now we know the Word of Elohim is Yeshua himself, or Christ. We know that this man on the horse is Christ. And the armies which were in heaven followed him that were on the white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness of the wrath of Almighty Elohim. And he has on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of kings and Lord of lords. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered to make war against him that sat on the throne and against his army. So now we have the full context of Revelation chapter 19. And the armies that are on the earth will go to make war with him. They will not be happy at his coming. It says, then the nations or the people on the earth will mourn. The tribes of the earth will mourn. We're going to add Isaiah chapter 63 verse 1. Who is that comes from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Why are you red in your apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth the wine fat? I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me, for I will tread them down in my anger. Then I will trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. And I looked, and there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore my own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury it upheld me. I will tread down the people in my anger, and make them drunk in my fury, and I will bring their strength down to the earth. This is Christ coming to do war with the people on the earth. The beast and the kings of the earth. Christ is coming to make war with them. What are the anchors here? In Revelation chapter 19, verse 13, he says he was clothed in a vesture that was dipped in blood. You can connect that with Isaiah chapter 63, verse 2. Why are you red in your apparel, and your garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat? Isaiah asks the question, why are they red? And then in Revelation, we realize that it's blood. These verses are all connected. What you see in Revelation and what you see in Isaiah, these are the two anchors. And you read these two chapters in tandem, and you'll get an idea what's taking place. Now we're going to connect that with 2nd Ezra. 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 2. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, and it moved all the ways thereof. And behold, lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it fleeth the fire. And after this, behold, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. This man that came out of the sea is going to make war with the people according to Ezra. And a number that cannot be counted is going to come to fight this man that came out of the sea. Now, is he coming out of the actual sea? No. When we read in Daniel, he saw 4 beasts come out of the sea. Kingdoms come out of the sea. When it says Christ is, or Yeshua is coming out of the sea, it just means his kingdom is coming. And when it says the man, in verse 3, it says the man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. We can connect that with Revelation. And it says in verse 14 of chapter 19, the armies which were in heaven followed him on white horses, clothed in fine linen. Armies of heaven and the thousands, right? According to Ezra, the man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. So we see that all these three are the same event. When you gather them all together, you get a big idea of what is going to take place. To sum this all up, 1260 days ends with Christ coming back. Christ will come back during the middle of the war. He will come to make war with the people on the earth. They will leave their war with each other to overcome him by fighting, but they cannot win. That's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.